Okay, today we'll continue where we have left off in the last class. So, in the last class, we have stopped at Coulomb's law. I did not even start, I have just started and left it off. So, in today's class, we will start with Coulomb's law. Now, before I explain anything, okay, from here this chapter is similar to gravitation. So in gravitation you have mass, in electrostatics you have charge, okay, and the way you write the equations, the way you try to set up the equations, everything will be same. So now we will start with Coulomb's law. So what it says I will tell you, okay, in vector form we will write it separately. Now what Coulomb's law says is, if you have 2 point charges q1 and q2 like this, okay, now from properties of charge we do know the fact that if you have two equal charges, two positive charges, they will repel each other, and if you have equal and opposite charges, they will attract each other, okay. Now if I assume, if nothing is mentioned, always make the habit of assuming it to be a positive charge and then do the calculation. Now in this case, if this charge is positive charge, okay, then there will be repulsion. So this is force on q1 by field of q2, okay, it will be acting along the line joining two charges, okay, and this is force, okay, F bar on q2 by field of q1, okay. Now if you consider these two together as a system, this force that you have is internal force, okay, so net force is 0, okay. Now whenever you are trying to explain Coulomb's law, okay, force between is not the correct terminology. You have to write force on q1 or force on q2, okay. You should not write force in between, okay. You always define force on a body, field and potential at a point, potential energy for a system, okay. So my point is, okay, if you take this point charge q1, okay, your force on q1 or force on q2, okay, any one, okay, you cannot say force in between, okay. So if you consider these two together as a system, my point is, okay, your net force, okay, if you have distance between them to be some r like this, your net force on this system is 0, your external force is 0, there is no external force, okay. If you consider these two together as a system, the electric force that you have on q1 or electric force that you have in q2 is internal force, okay, right. So now as you all know from mechanics, okay, if you consider q1 and q2 as a system, okay, external force is 0, okay, and if external force is 0, we can apply conservation of linear momentum, okay, p bar conservation can be done, okay. Keep this point in mind, I will come back to it later, okay, so you can apply this logic, okay. Next, now coming to the magnitude part, okay. Now if this is your air or vacuum, okay, your electric force depends upon the medium between these 2 point charges, okay. So your electric force, okay, your F electric is directly proportional to product of charges, it is inversely proportional to r square. So if you simplify and write it, your electric force between them, okay, force is a vector, I am talking of only magnitude, okay, your magnitude of force is 1 by 4 pi epsilon medium times q1 q2 by r square, this is your force, okay. In some medium, what this E medium is nothing but your electric permeability. This is your electrical permittivity of medium. Okay, so this is your electrical permittivity of medium. Okay, so you have to consider this, and this E medium value is electrical permittivity of medium is, okay, epsilon naught times E relative. Okay, this E relative is also called as dielectric constant, or okay, E relative is dielectric constant. Later in capacitors chapter you will represent E relative with capital K, but for now it is dielectric constant or relative electric permeability. Okay, relative electric permeability, it is nothing but a ratio. Okay, so this is your permittivity of medium, this is your permittivity of free space. This is relative electric permittivity of medium. Okay, now your E relative value is, okay, for water E relative, I mean for vacuum, okay, I write here these values you have to remember. For vacuum E relative is 1, okay, and for water E relative is 81. Okay, E relative is 81. If nothing is mentioned, we will consider this medium to be air or vacuum. In such a case, your 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught value is 9 into 10 power 9 in SI units. Okay, and your epsilon naught value is 8.85 into 10 power minus 11. Okay, minus 11 or minus 12? Coulomb's law बोले? Huh? Coulomb's law? No. Okay, so then you have to check. I don't remember the value, just hold on. Okay, so I think it is 8.85 into 10 power minus 12, I suppose. Just hold on. Yes, 10 power minus 12. It's not 11, it is 10 power minus 12. Okay, so epsilon naught value is 8.85 into 10 power minus 12. Okay, so this is your Coulomb's law. Okay, now I am giving only the magnitude part. Okay, so if you have 2 point charges like this, the electric force on any one of the bodies, okay, so on these two both will be equal. Okay, on this body it is K Q1 Q2 by R square. Okay, this 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught is represented by symbol K. Okay, small k. Okay, so K is 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught, which is 9 into 10 power 9. If you have any doubts, just let me know. Here we are writing only the magnitude part of Coulomb's law. We are not considering the direction. Force is a vector. We need to even consider the direction. So force magnitude is that much, it acts along the line joining the two charges. So if they are positive, repulsion. If they are of opposite sign, there is attraction. Okay, unit you can write it. I will tell you how to write the units and all. So unit of epsilon naught is from here. Okay, if you keep this term alone on one side, send it to other side, then you will get Coulomb square per Newton meter square. For 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught, you will get Newton meter square per Coulomb. For this, the unit is Newton meter square per Coulomb square. Okay, so this is what you get as the unit. Okay, Now while explaining from now on 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught, I will just simply take it as k. Okay, I will not keep writing again and again, I will directly just simply write it as k, that's all. Your k is 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught and its value is 9 into 10 power 9. Okay, so if there is nothing is mentioned about the medium, take vacuum. Okay, E naught is permittivity of free space or vacuum. Okay, this part is permittivity of free space or vacuum. Okay, permittivity of free space or vacuum, and for even air we take the same. Okay, for air also we will be taking the same value. Okay, now I hope you will remember this. I will erase it now. So I will keep elaborating. Now I will start writing Coulomb's law in vector form. Observe carefully. Now if you have a point charge q1 like this, if you have one more charge q2 from here to here, if the distance is r, okay, now your electric force is F bar, okay, on 1 by field of 2. Okay, so this is force on body 1 by field of 2. Okay, and next thing here it is force on 2 by field of 1. Okay, now this magnitude part is we have seen just now, it is k q1 q2 by r square. If it is air or vacuum, this k is 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught value. Its value is 9 into 10 power 9. This we have seen just now. Now I will keep elaborating little more. Now let us say I have given you coordinates of this point x1 comma y1 comma z1 like this, and coordinates of this point is some x2 comma y2 comma z2. Okay, now in vector form I am going to write it. Okay, now for that, what is that I am going to do is, if you consider your force on q1 here, and next if you consider force on q2, now force is a vector, you need to give magnitude and direction for a vector. So now here in this case, in both the cases, here the magnitude is k q1 q2 by r square, here the magnitude is still k into q1 into q2 by r square. Okay, this part gives the magnitude, but what we want is direction as well. So in more elaborated manner, if I write it, your force on q1 is because of field of q2. I told you very clearly, its own field cannot cause force on itself. So whatever field this q1 charge is producing, it cannot cause force on q1 itself. This will act as source. Okay, this will act as the test charge. So when this source produces field, when this test charge comes into field, it will experience force. Similarly, if this acts as the source, it will produce field. So into this field of q2, if some charge is coming, that will experience the force. So here my point is, force on q1 is because of field of q2. Okay, next, exactly in the same manner, your force on q2 is, okay, because of field of q1. Okay, any body's field, okay, any source field cannot cause force on source charge itself. Some other surrounding field will exert force on our charge. Next, second important point is, your force is vector. Okay, So here your force on 1 by 2, you can just simply write it as k q1 q2 by r square. Its direction is, because there is repulsion, you can write it in English and leave it like this. In English, if you are giving the vector, you will write it as force on 1 by 2 is k q1 q2 by r square. Its direction is left. Similarly, your force on 2 by field of 1 is k q1 q2 by r square. Its direction is right. So if you are explaining in English, you will give your answer in terms of left and right. Next, if you just give slightly mathematical touch, okay, then your force on 1 by 2 is k q1 q2 by r square times plus I cap, if nothing is mentioned, but here I gave the coordinates. So you cannot write in terms of, just simply I cap. I cap will indicate positive x-axis, but if I have not given the coordinates, then you could have written in terms of I cap, indicating that minus I cap if it is left, plus I cap if it is towards right. So according to this figure it is left, but this is not the axis left. Somewhere here if it is left, this is minus I cap. Here if it is right, plus I cap. Here if it is up, plus j cap, minus j cap. But here I have given the coordinates. So now what is that I am going to do is, now if I take this point and this point as 2 points, now what is that I can do is, if I define a vector r bar like this r bar vector is, if this is some point A and if this is some point B, this vector r bar's initial point is A, final point is B. So in vector form, your r bar is, I write it to the side, okay, it is x2 minus x1 I cap plus y2 minus y1 j cap plus z2 minus z1 k cap. So you are writing your position vector in terms of I cap and j cap like this. Your r cap, your unit vector, okay, for the big vector and unit vector, direction will be same. R cap is unit vector in this direction. If you have any doubts, refer to my vectors chapter videos. Your r bar is r bar by mod r. Okay, your mod r can be written as r bar by r as well. If I just simply write r like this, it's magnitude of r. Okay, your mod r is how much means, your mod r is under root x2 minus x1 whole square plus y2 minus y1 whole square plus z2 minus z1 whole square. Now according to that logic, your this force value is k q1 q2 by r square. Its direction is left, so I will keep minus r cap, so that will give you minus k q1 q2 by r cap can be written as r bar by mod r, so it will become, okay, r cube times minus, okay, we have written already minus, so it will become r bar by r cube. Similarly here this can be written as k q1 q2 by your force on 2 by 1 is k q1 q2 by r square into plus r cap, because your force is in the direction of r cap only. So this can even be rewritten as k q1 q2 by times r cube times r bar. Okay, so these are the different ways in which you can express this force. Now in all these cases, okay, I told you if nothing is mentioned, you have to consider your k to be 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught, where epsilon naught is electric permittivity of free space or vacuum. Free space or vacuum or air, whatever you take, free space or vacuum both will mean the same. And for air also you will take the same value, and its value is 9 into 10 power 9. So this is how you write your Coulomb's law in vector form. Now I will use this idea and proceed further ahead. So I will erase first and then I'll continue. So next thing that I have is, okay, once you know the values, I have given in vector form, I have given in terms of magnitude. Now we'll use this idea to solve different questions, but before that, some important points that I want you to remember. First one is, okay, indirectly I am giving you limitations of Coulomb's law. Your Coulomb's law, which you are writing it as k q1 q2 by r square, this Coulomb's law is strictly valid only for point charges. Valid only for point charges. If you have charge configurations, that means indirectly if you have a rod, charged rod like this, and one more charged rod is also there like this, and if its total charge is q1, if its total charge is q2, from here to here if the distance is r, or from here to here it is some r1, from here to here if it is some r2, whatever it is, you cannot write just simply k q1 q2 by r square. Your Coulomb's law is valid only for point charges. This is a charged configuration, this is a charged rod. So for these kind of situations you cannot apply Coulomb's law. That is your first point. It is valid only for point charges. In situations like this we have to use integration. How you are supposed to do it, I will tell you. Next, another important point that you have is, it is not applicable for accelerating charges. It is not applicable for accelerating charges. Accelerating charges will produce electromagnetic radiation, so which we will see in electromagnetic waves, but remember it is also not applicable for accelerating charges. If charges are accelerating, you cannot write Coulomb's law. So indirectly what is that I mean is, if you are applying Coulomb's law, you will apply it only for simple point charges. And please do remember your 1 by 4 pi epsilon medium is what you are supposed to use, which is 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught into E relative. If nothing is mentioned, okay, your E relative is 1. It is for air or vacuum. If something is mentioned, use this term. And I told you your epsilon naught value is 8.85 into 10 power minus 12. Use this in questions when and wherever you get it. Next, now before I solve problems, I'll try to just relate. So in gravitation, electric force is always, it is both attractive or repulsive. Gravitational force is attractive. So here you are writing F electric is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught E relative into q1 q2 by r square. It depends on medium. Whereas your gravitational force is Gm1 m2 by r square. This is your gravitational force. It is independent of medium. Whether you place in water or air, it doesn't matter. It is independent of medium. So whether you place 2 point masses in air or whether you place 2 point masses in water, gravitational force is going to remain same, and its value is 6.67 into 10 power minus 11 SI units. Here if you change the medium, your electric force will change. Okay, so keep this point in mind. Electric force depends on medium. Gravitational force, it is independent of medium. Medium will not affect the magnitude of force. Now based on this, I would like to explain two simple questions. Now your first question is, let us say you have 2 point masses, mass m, charge q1 like this, another mass m2, charge q2 like this, point charge, distance is r. Now the question is, I hope you do remember center of mass. First I'll give you a simple question, next I'll extend this. Your first question is, if charges are released, your question is like this, if charges are released and m2 gains speed v2, find speed of v1, speed of q1, that is your question. m2 gains speed v2, find speed of q1. Now how will you solve this question is, if you consider these two charges together as a system, now on these two charges, if you are considering together as a system, whether they are like charges or unlike charges, if nothing is mentioned, I told you consider same sign. So there is repulsion, so your electric force is this way on this, your electric force is on this body, it is this way. Now because this electric force cancels if you are considering these two together as a system, okay, if you remember system of particles and center of mass, you will be able to follow this. If not, refer to that lecture of mine. So in this case, because there is no external force, I write that very clearly, because F external is 0, we can apply conservation of linear momentum to this system. So when no external force acts on the system, we can apply conservation of linear momentum. So if you do so, initial momentum is 0 when they are starting. After some time, let us say in the question I gave it rest. Released means obviously it is from rest. So 0 is equal to, if m2 moves towards right, final momentum of m2 is m2 times plus v2, because it is going towards right, plus m1 times, you don't know which side it goes, just simply keep it plus v1, assuming that it is going towards right. Now in this case, your v1 is minus m2 v2 by m1. Now in this case, negative sign indicates that it moves towards left, like this you can apply conservation of linear momentum. Now this is one question that I can give like this. Now let us say I'll add one more idea from center of mass. So next is, I can extend this idea and then give question related to center of mass by giving the positions. Now if I give positions, your position change in center of mass position is 0 because there is no external force. Initially your system is at rest. So I can give positions and ask if one charge moves by some distance x1, by how much distance by other charge moves. That question also I can give. So now I'll erase this question and then give one more question. So what is that? My question is, if charges are released, okay, once again, and instead of gaining speed, let us say my question is, if charges are released and m2 travels, my question is like this, your m2 travels a distance x2, find distance travelled by m1. That is your question. Look, what is that you can do here. Now this question is related to shift in center of mass idea. So in that part, what is that you are going to do is, if you have a system and within that system, if there is no external force acting on the system, and if system is starting from rest, okay, the sequence is like this. If external force is 0, that implies acceleration of center of mass is 0. That implies velocity of center of mass is constant. That implies your velocity of center of mass initial is equal to velocity of center of mass final. If initially, if body is starting from rest, final also it is anyhow going to be 0. Now if VCM is 0, your velocity of center of mass is m1 times delta x1 by delta t plus m2 times delta x2 by delta t whole divided by m1 plus m2. It is nothing but m1 v1 plus m2 v2 by m1 plus m2. Okay, so using that logic, initial velocity of center of mass is 0. So you will get 0 is equal to m1 times delta x1 plus m2 times delta x2 by m1 plus m2. So you are going to get this expression. So 0, if m1 plus m2, if you send it to other side, you will get 0 is equal to m1 delta x1 plus m2 delta x2. Okay, so this idea please refer to shift in center of mass video lecture of mine. So in that you will get to know 0 is equal to m1 times shift in center of mass of first body plus m2 times shift in center of mass of second body. Okay, so in that lecture, if you have observed, okay, so if shift is given and when no external force, okay, refer, I mean we have seen that boat and man situations, okay, in boat man situations we have done this. So according to that, if this is 0 comma 0, these are point masses. So for point masses, center of mass will be at the same point itself. Now if coordinates of this is some r comma 0, now according to our formula, it is 0 is equal to m1 times delta x1 plus m2 times delta x2, where delta x1 is change in x coordinate of first mass, delta x2 is change in x coordinate of center of mass of second mass. Now because of repulsion, if you do not know which point it is there, initially it is like this. Now let us say initially your center of mass, okay, it will be at m1 x1 plus m2 x2 by m1 plus m2, that is your position of center of mass. Now after repulsion, I have given you m2 travels a distance x2. So now if it travels a distance x2, if you are considering this as your origin, coordinates of this m2 will be r plus x2 comma 0. Because of repulsion, m2 goes away. Because of repulsion, let us say m1 is coming a distance of x1 to the left. Now in such a case, your final x coordinate is minus x1 comma 0. Let us assume that they are moving along the axis like this. Now in this case, if you apply these relations to get the value of x1, 0 is equal to mass m1 into your delta x1. Shift in center of mass of first body is initially final, I mean you have to write final minus initial, minus x1 is the final x coordinate, minus initially it is 0, plus m2 times what is delta x2, final is r plus x2 minus initial is x2. So I mean sorry, initial it is r. So r will go off. So you are going to get 0 is equal to minus m1 x1 plus m2 x2. From here m1 x1 is equal to m2 x2. By how much distance did m1 move means x1 is equal to m2 by m1 into x2. This is the distance moved by this mass m1 towards left. By the time this m2 covers a distance of x2, m1 will cover a distance of x1 towards left and its magnitude is this much. So this we are relating it from center of mass. This relation will be there in shift in center of mass, boat reverse situations. A man is standing on the boat, he is moving towards like this, or two scientists are standing on a boat and they are moving towards center to shake the hand, something like that questions will be given. In such kind of questions you will get it. Okay, so a similar idea here also, no external force is acting on the system, so that is why we can do this. Alright, hope you have understood it. Now I'll erase this. If you have any doubts, just let me know. Try to sink the idea into your brains. Understanding is the most important thing. Take time, try to understand. If you did not follow the example, refer to this same video by playing back and then listening to the video once again. Next, next I will try to discuss an important problem, that is introduction of dielectric slab in between 2 point charges. So for that part, you need something else. So first we will try to remember some standard results. If you have two charges Q1 and Q2 placed at some distance r like this, let us say these two charges are in air or vacuum. So let us say this is your R air. Now I have one more charge configuration like this. They are placed in a different medium whose dielectric constant is E medium like this. Okay, E medium is nothing but epsilon naught into E relative. He can give you in the question E relative also. E relative is ratio. Okay, E relative is nothing but relative electric permittivity, that is permittivity of medium by permittivity of free space. So this we have seen. Instead of giving this definition, I have just simply cross multiplied it. So permittivity of electric permittivity of medium is relative electric permeability or dielectric constant times epsilon naught. Now, okay, I am going to use this result in a different scenario. What is my question in this situation is, under what condition force is same? That is your question. Under what condition force in both the mediums is same? Or I can give the same question as, find equivalent air distance of medium. Same question I am asking in different ways. Find equivalent air distance of the medium. This is your another question. Okay. Now what is the difference in both these cases is, in this case if you are writing your force value is 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught Q1 Q2 by R air square. Okay, your Coulomb's law, in Coulomb's law your electric force is given by 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught Q1 Q2 by R square, which is nothing but K. 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught is K. Next, in this right side medium, it is 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught medium is epsilon naught times E relative into Q1 Q2 by R medium square. Now Q1 Q2 I will cancel off. 4 pi epsilon naught will cancel off. So you are going to get R air square is E relative into R medium square. So that means your equivalent air distance is medium distance times under root E relative. Okay. Now this result is important. I want you to remember this result. Okay. Now in this situation, indirectly what is that I am referring is, to get same amount of force as that much you have in air, what is that we are supposed to do is, we are supposed to bring the charges and place it at a distance of under root E relative times under root dielectric constant times medium. Okay, so if you have R medium distance in this particular medium, your air distance to have same amount of force is this much, that is R medium times under root E relative. Okay, so this is your equivalent air distance for this medium. Now why did I discuss this problem? I will tell you. This problem is very important to solve another result. Okay, so you will have a portion of air, you will have a portion of medium. So to solve that question, we are going to use this result. So I'll continue. So next heading is introduction of partial dielectric slab between 2 point charges. That is my question. Okay, now what is the actual question is, if you have a point charge q1 like this and one more point charge q2 like this, now here you have a dielectric slab of thickness T, dielectric constant E relative. From here to here the distance is R. In this case, you are supposed to find out electric force. Outside you have air, inside you have some other material. Now, to solve k q1 q2 by r square, I mean if you are writing k q1 q2 by r square, so indirectly you have only air if you are writing 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught. If you have complete medium, you would have written 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught medium times q1 q2 by r square. But now here you have a hybrid medium. In between you have a different material, insulating material. Dielectric material is also called as insulating material. So here you have insulating material in between, and to that end and to this end you have air. Okay, your dielectric material is present only in a thickness of T. Okay, getting my point? So now here in this case I don't have a precise formula to write it, but indirectly we will try to write this. So how is that, I will tell you. Now if you have your complete air, you would have written 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught q1 q2 by r square. That means which is indirectly 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught q1 q2 by r minus t plus t whole square. Indirectly, if this was also air, you would have written this formula. Okay, if this thickness T is also air, okay, you would have written indirectly r minus t plus t. 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught q1 q2 by r square is 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught q1 by q1 q2 by r minus t plus t whole square. Now here this part is air. When you are taking complete air, this part is also air. Okay, here I will write it. If complete air, this is what you are going to do. Now if there is a hybrid medium like this, so in this hybrid medium, what is that you are going to do? Hybrid in the sense non-homogeneous medium. Okay, non-homogeneous medium, what is that you are going to do is, your force is, you can write it as 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught q1 q2 by your r minus t part is air. So you are writing it as air only. So you have air, you have epsilon naught here. Now the problem is coming with only this part. Now just now we have seen what is the equivalent air distance means from the previous problem. Your equivalent air distance is R air is equal to under root E relative times R medium. This we have seen from the previous example, right? So to get same amount of force, we need to bring this much equivalent amount of air distance. So if your medium thickness is T, your equivalent air distance is T times under root EL, right? So to get same amount of force, okay, we are replacing that thickness T's equivalent air distance. That thickness T's equivalent air distance is under root E relative into T, this much whole square. This is your equivalent air distance. T thickness in medium is being replaced with equivalent air distance. Okay, so this is your final result. Hope you have understood what I have explained. We have a non-homogeneous medium. So R minus T distance is air, but T distance is not air. So for the T distance part, I am replacing it with equivalent air distance.